All right, viewers, so welcome back. And as we continue all conversations, Caricom Youth Ambassador, now Miss Bethel and Miss Anne-Marie DeGazon. The Youth Ambassador program has contributed to the integration of young people on a Caricom level. You know, it has aided in integrating the perspectives and views of youths across the region on a national, regional and international level in the policies and programs. So the program is a really interesting program. Now, the question now is, why should young people get into the Youth Ambassador program, especially in Tobago, because you would have mentioned Keegan, and it's only one. I don't know if it is that we can have multiple ambassadors. Can we have multiple ambassadors, and why should they get involved?
Well, I would say I totally agree with you. It's an esteemed position. When you hear the term ambassador, you're talking about representation. And a youth ambassador, in this case, the Caricom Youth Ambassador, is one that should be between 18 and 25. So we're talking about the body of youth representation. And that is what it is. It's an opportunity to be at and operate at a level of decision making where you're giving back to your community, where you're serving. You are the decider of what happens in Tobago as it relates to educating young persons about Caricom. Nice. And that is an esteemed position. I would love that there are more Caricom Youth Ambassadors, but as ambassador, the selected ambassador, you can agitate for that.
Okay.
You can make that happen. In fact, at the Department of Youth Development, we do see the need to have ambassadors in other areas in terms of agriculture, in terms of our climate change issues, our environmental development. And it is, in fact, part of our policy position to make the ambassador program much more established. And so you have ambassadors who will communicate and represent and educate young persons across a broad spectrum. But in this case, of course, we're talking about Caricom, and we know that is an important institution that fosters regional integration, and our young persons need to be a part of that. So there's no way we can be left out. So we are saying that that alone is the push. You know, we've heard young persons who are involved in youth organization, and to be an ambassador, you must be involved in a youth organization, be between 18 and 25. And in this case, because we are speaking about Tobago, you must be born in Tobago.
Okay, lovely.
So we know there are plenty of young people out there born in Tobago. Yes. They might be in different parts of the globe right now celebrating, but that does not deter you from participating and applying. So I expect that by the end of this interview, we will see a flood of interviews coming in. Because, you know, if there is no competition in the selection process, you don't just want to walk in. You want to know that you have earned your place there and that your peers have been selected, and that is what the process is. So we will screen and we will select, and the young persons have an opportunity to present themselves.
That's so
lovely. I'm seeing young people here, so I'm hoping you all apply.
That's lovely, Ms. DeGazon. And Ms. Bethel, my question to you is, when you look at on an international level, a lot of young people want to become diplomats. We want to go to the UN, we want to speak, we want to advocate, we want to get our views and perspectives out there. And thankfully, the Caricom Youth Ambassador program is actually that stepping stone to get that diplomat status. So tell us a bit more about diplomacy and how us as young people can contribute to that.
All right, so as Caricom Youth Ambassadors, they are able to formulate local programs and activities. Caricom Youth Ambassadors are also able to establish networks. They are supervised by the Department of Youth Affairs, youth organizations, and other stakeholders. And they are able to actively formulate programs with the assistance of the Monitoring Committee, comprising of the Youth Development Affairs, as well as implementation partners.
Okay, Ms. Bethel, and when we look in the youth space, an issue that we see is that as young people, even though we advocate to have a seat at the table, sometimes when we do get by the table, we don't have a seat, we're just there standing, as ushers. So, and when you look at the Youth Ambassador program, this program is going to give young people the opportunity to build their leadership, to build their negotiating skills, to be able to just take up space. So when they do have a seat at the table now, they wouldn't be the ushers, they would actually be contributing to the discussions and by extent the entire development of the youths in the Caricom. So my question now is, when you look at regional integration, when you become a Caricom ambassador, how is that relationship when you get to collaborate with other ambassadors from other Caricom islands?
She heard you. Okay, I'm not sure if Miss Bethel heard the question, but let me jump in while we're getting that sorted out. I would say, in my own experience, having seen it operate, it is important that young persons are involved at the local level in terms of their group operations and the skills that they need to acquire. Simple things like how to conduct a meeting, how to do an agenda, how to present, and so on. Because those skills become important when you're operating at that regional level. You're now sitting with your colleagues and your counterpart and being able to hold your own in a discussion, a debate, getting decisions made in your favor.
Yes.
You know, because if we see how Caricom heads of government meet and there's around the table, you may have to speak to certain particular issues. So it's important that you be well read, that you keep up to date with what's happening in your local territory. But more importantly, I think it's important that you are connected with other young persons, because you don't want to rise to that level and then you're not sure how the average young person is thinking, because you are representative. And a representative means that you're presenting not only your own views, but you're presenting the views of other young persons as well. So you have to develop that mechanism, and that's why we say networking is important, that you're able to hear what the young man on the block is thinking about these issues, and they have some important thoughts come out of there. And then you understand what the students are thinking. And we know now that in Trinidad and Tobago, our youth is between the age of 10 and 35. So you definitely need to have a network established that you can connect with those roots to be able to
not to interrupt you. In January, we would have hosted the Caribbean Youth Summit, CYLS, right in Tobago. And that last point you made, we would have seen it ourselves, because till this day, I would have built so many good connections with people from all over the Caribbean islands. So we are able to discuss everything on a regional level now. And it's really interesting that I'm able to now see the perspectives from different islands, because the problems we face in Trinidad and Tobago may be completely different in Barbados, completely different in St. Lucia. And now, when we look at issues here in Trinidad and Tobago, such as when rain falls, we see the flooding issue in Trinidad. When we look in Tobago, we see the need for agriculture to be boosted, the need for youths to get more involved in tourism. When you have that regional support from other islands, you could now take tips, you can now take the ideas to say, okay, maybe we can try this in Tobago, maybe we can try this in Trinidad. So it's really excellent, that last point that you made.
Most definitely, most definitely. And you see the similarities too, because sometimes, you know, there's some age-old disputes sometimes that we have within this Caribbean region, but you also see the benefits of us working together. And we are entrusting that with our young persons now on board, you can forge ways to promote the integration of our people so that we can treat with the common issues that we have.
That's excellent, Ms. DeGazon. So, Ms. DeGazon and Ms. Bethel, I want to thank you all both for joining us here on the Youth Show to discuss everything Caricom Youth Ambassador. I hope that every young person who is watching this live at the moment, or who will be watching the rerun, that you all will just send in that application. Do not deny yourself. Still send in that application, because you don't know what can be your portion. This is an excellent initiative. This is an opportunity to be that voice and to really represent the youths in Tobago and Trinidad and just get the views and opinions out there. So thank you once again. And viewers, we have reached the end of our youth show here on Tobago Updates. I want to thank you all once again for joining us. And we'll see you all next week. It's always a vibe here on the Wednesday show. So once again, I'm going to ask you all to share the live, share the live, share the live. We're going to head over to Good Morning Tobago with Candice Jackson.